In this video, I'm going to share with you a setup for daily journaling. First, we'll cover types of journals that you may run into, why you should journal, and then I'll flip through a few of my journals to show you how I get it done. First, a review of the types of journals that you'll run into. There's a minimalistic bullet journal, which is awesome for keeping track of what you've done, and a quick review, like a log of everything you've done and tracking habits. There are art bullet journals, which I love to watch art bullet journaling. I have no creativity in me, but I watch the artists do their magic on spreads of the month, and it's just so cool, so very cool. I can see how that type of use of journaling supplies would be very in the zone or in the flow state. There's also 5-year journals or prompt journals, which will prompt you for something to write each day or 3 times a day or however many times a day. It can be rigorous to think that you're gonna keep up with journaling for 5 straight years, but a lot of people really enjoy that kind of journaling. There's also this idea of a commonplace book, which is probably one of the older types of journaling, where you just keep track of everything that you've learned and everything that you're thinking of and every idea, and you're jotting down, finding articles and you're putting them in the commonplace book. These days, commonplace books are much more effective as a digital way of journaling because you can copy and paste and you can put links to articles, or you can jot down ideas that you had in your digital journal. And that brings us to the last big category of journaling, which is a mental health journal. It's also called traditional journaling or a diary or a writing journal, but I really prefer to call it a mental health journal because that's really what you're going after, or a mindfulness journal. The problem with the mental health journal is that it has the dreaded blank page. When you look at a blank page, no prompts, you're just pouring out your feelings or pouring out the day-to-day. It can be challenging to put down your thoughts on paper. So why do I prefer mental health journaling? It's because processing your feelings on paper separates you from those feelings, and it makes you an objective observer of your feelings, which is really a good step towards being mindful. It's difficult at first, but the more you do it, the better you are at it. It's a challenge to take the time to block out the noise and to cope with the fact that there's no perfection. But in doing so, I feel like you unblock your subconscious. I've noticed that feelings kind of clog things up. They clog up your ability to be creative and to be innovative. How many times have you tried to get something done that required a little bit of creativity and you were angry, or you were sad, or overly happy, and you just wanted to go out and party? By processing these feelings in a journal, you can get them out of the way so that your creativity and your subconscious can really come through, and you can be more innovative and more productive. Essentially, I believe that mindfulness protects your productivity and your focus, ultimately giving you more sustainable focus and better mental health. Okay, so that's why I enjoy mental health journaling. Now, about that blank page, what to write in a mental health journal. I did want to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Scott. I help people with journaling because I believe that writing down your thoughts, feelings, and experiences is the best way to improve your mindfulness. Mindfulness helps improve your focus and productivity in a sustainable way. If you are interested in a journey of mindfulness and improved productivity, please subscribe and check out my videos. I always feel like the best thing to start with are gratitude statements. If you've seen any of my other videos, you hear me go on and on about gratitude statements and how powerful they are. Well, this continues to be true for me as I continue to journal and enjoy my practice. Gratitude statements are really the cornerstone of how I get started. Next is to write about your feelings, about what you're grateful for. And as I just said, you're separating you from the gratitude and the feeling, and you're becoming an objective observer of those feelings. Or how am I feeling today? That's an easy one to get straight into the feelings. Are you feeling depressed? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling happy? Are you looking forward to something? Another prompt that's pretty easy to use is what's working right now. This is that retrospective prompt that I mentioned before, and often, time to time, I use it 3 to 4 times a day. And since the dreaded blank page is such a problem, I often use a little folded piece of paper. It's really a flexible way of keeping some prompts that you can use reminders, that things that you need to continue to look at. And as a gift to you, I will put this as a download on my website. Check out the links in the description. You'll see it there. Let's talk about journaling supplies. Oftentimes a beginner journaler is kind of hung up on what kind of journal they want to use. But honestly, you know, an inexpensive book, an inexpensive notebook is nice to use. Composition notebooks are good. Look how stiff this cover is. It's cheap, lots of paper. Anything that you want to do, you want to write in this is good. This is a 200-page one, 100 sheets. It's a very thick one. I've been using thin ones lately, especially, let me go back to this one. It's by Kokuyo. And Japanese paper is kind of a special thing. They really spend a lot of time on their paper. As thin as this paper is, it still does not bleed through with my fountain pens. So it's just amazing that it can be this lightweight and that thin and still not bleed through. Really nice. There's other notebooks that you can use, such as this one. I bought at TJ Maxx. It was on clearance, $5 for a big old heavy, like this is some super thick paper, which is pretty cool. Nice heavy, it's a spiral bound, so if you wanted to just work on one page at a time, it's got some nice date concepts at the top, which I appreciate. I really like to put dates at the top of all my pages, or as many as I can. But at the end of the day, just some good paper or some average paper, a pen. You could use anything from a Pilot G2 or a ballpoint if you want to use. I use fountain pens because they write nicer and they write faster, and I enjoy using fountain pens. You don't have to. It's not something that's required. Now let's talk about how I integrate journaling into my day. Here's a day where I was taking notes on an online course that I'm developing about journaling and mindfulness, and I can see that I'm taking lots of notes, and then I'll go straight into I'm feeling. As I've mentioned in other videos, I use post-it notes as a good way of keeping track of things that I need to do. I also use them in the middle of my journaling. So sometimes I'll be writing and I'll say, here's a whole list of stream of consciousness, and somewhere in the middle of it, it says, hey, here's a task that I'd like to complete. So that's another way I integrate journaling into my daily life. But as you're taking notes, it's really nice to be able to drop into a stream of consciousness about how you feel about the content and really kind of work through just everything on your mind. And before you know it, you've cleared your mind, you're back on your task, you're back to reading your article, or even in the middle of a meeting, sometimes I'll write a few sentences of just stream of consciousness, like, oh man, I'm wondering how my dog's doing with a snowstorm or something to that effect. And it's really convenient to just get that out, to get that unclogged from what I need to be really paying attention to. And lastly, while you're writing stream of consciousness, there is a sense of raised awareness of your feelings about the content, your feeling about taking notes if you're in class or if you're at work or if you're in a meeting. And sometimes you write down a thing that is better left unsaid. You can write it, maybe follow up with it later, or not at all, who knows? All right, so that's how I incorporate journaling into my day. And lastly, I'll put my prompt guide in the links in the description. There's other links in the description that I'd like you to check out too. Don't forget to sign up for my newsletter for weekly journaling encouragement. And if you'd be so kind, check out the next video that I'll put at the end of this video. All right, see you next time.